Niners faithful, how we doing? 49ers fans, how are we feeling on this Monday? I'm feeling all right if you ask me. Hey, welcome to C-Train Station. Welcome back to C-Train Station for those subscribers. And thank you so much for all of your comments, all of your likes, all of your interactions. Thank you to those subscribers. And if you're new, please subscribe, like, hopefully dislike. We're having fun, and we're here to have fun at C-Train Station. Let's talk about this Niners game, though, right? Niners won 22-19 against the Las Vegas Raiders. The good and then the not so good. Let's start out with the good. Brock Purdy to Ricky Pearsall is like in midseason form. When I talked a few videos ago, things to look for, and one of them was Ricky Pearsall, players to watch, I think I said, like 10 players to watch. Ricky Pearsall was one of them. I said, look, all I need is 2 to 3 nice, solid catches. Then let's shut Ricky Pearsall down to the regular season. Got it. Ricky Pearsall, 3 great catches for, I believe, 42 yards. Got open. One of them was able to get open. I think one of his catches, he found a good soft zone and soft spot in the zone. And I just really liked what I saw from the Purdy to Pearsall connection. I love that. I love it so much that I do not need to see Brock Purdy or Ricky Pearsall for the rest of the preseason. I know, like, C-Train, Ricky Pearsall needs reps. He needs practice reps, honestly, because he hasn't practiced that much. He needs practice reps with Brock Purdy, and like he needs to get physically stronger. That's it, and that's it. I mean, like, he'll get the reps on the field as long as he can stay on the field. Shrink wrap him until the regular season. That's what I would do. Brock was 5 of 7 for 66 yards. He looked great. And I love to see, although he did do the scrambling thing a little bit, he was very decisive even when he scrambled. So let me check back on that real quick. One of my fears is that Brock Purdy will get so in love with just sort of scrambling around and the broken play, because he's able to do that very well. I don't think it's effective. Statistics show that when Brock Purdy scrambles and all that stuff, that checking down is more effective. Checking down is better. It is better. It's a literal. It's a scientific fact. They did a sports science on it, and like, it's funny, but they in the sports they talk about how like Tom Brady checks down. It's efficient. It's very efficient. Brock Purdy, when you're running around or something, consider just dipping it to your outlet, which is probably going to be Christian McCaffrey or freaking George Kittle. Consider, instead of scrambling for a lot, just dumping it off to them, and they'll just probably run it for a good amount of yardage. I move on, though. I love Brock was and honestly, Brock Purdy knows this. He said in an interview over this offseason, he's like, no, I'm not trying to like scramble to just because I like to break the play. I scramble because I need to in order to play make. I love that. Demarcus Robinson, wide receiver Demarcus Robinson, I love what he could potentially give to the squad. Unfortunately, I believe he'll be suspended for the first 3 or 4, a few games. He got into trouble either this offseason or last season. I think he's going to be suspended, but when he comes back, Robinson at wide receiver, I love what he could potentially give to the squad. And this is why. When we're talking about, hopefully, in 2.5 months, let's see, August, September, October, in 2.5 to 3 months, if we're talking about Brandon Aiyuk, Ricky Pearsall, Jennings, and now Demarcus Robinson, if he's the 4th receiver on this squad, he's going to do so much damage. He's going to be working against players who he is markedly better than, and those are the numbers games that we love to see as Niners fans. Offensive linemen, Colby and Moss, Connor Colby and Drew Moss. Look, I think Drew Moss Colby, they didn't do as well. These are rookie offensive linemen, but they didn't get destroyed. And they didn't get destroyed for the second week in a row. Honestly, nobody on the Niners offensive Max Crosby did a little number of them, but what? Doesn't Max Crosby do that on everybody, right? I like what I see from the Niners offensive line with the respect that it doesn't look like they're all getting blown up at once or something like that. So I think that there is room. Negative. Dominic Pooney went down with a knee injury. Hopefully it's only a few weeks like Coach Kyle Shanahan said. But Connor Colby and Drew Moss, I'm telling you, I believe that the Niners are going to cut Drew Moss and try to get him onto the practice squad. If they cut him, I don't know if he's going to be, I think he's going to be picked up by another team. So, Nick Martin, better. Nick Martin, linebacker. We're still in the good, right? Everything's been good so far. Martin improved on a lackluster debut, just like I said he would. In my wrap-up of last week's game, I was like, look, dude, like, Nick Martin needs a little bit of a reprieve. We can give him one because he was injured last season for Oklahoma State and also had surgery. He's been off. There was rust. He is doing better and starting to pick up steam. We love that from Nick Martin. 6 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. Oh, hey, maybe YouTube, Nick Martin's sack against the Raiders. It was a good one. A good little, somewhat delayed blitz. Maybe he didn't delay that much, but a good blitz right up the middle from Martin. And solid tackle. He didn't overplay as much. The good news on Martin is I believe that Martin has the tackling intangibles within him. And we're going to talk about somebody who might not have that as much. So I believe that Martin has that within him. I just believe that he's so eager that he's almost in on every play. So it's like, yeah, if he's in on every play, then he's bound to miss 1 or 2 because he's in on every play. I like that a bit about Nick Martin, and I like that he wasn't burned. Good efficiency and better overall play from Nick Martin. I like that. Marcus Siegel. Y'all, the Niners rookie defensive back, I believe he played for Kansas State. Marcus Siegel. He, in my opinion, would be, in an ideal world, Malik Mustafa and Marcus Siegel would actually be my starting safeties for this Niners squad. But for Siegel, for the second game in a row, he notched an incredibly impressive open field tackle where he tackles, breakdowns, and explodes on the ball carrier in the open field in space. Man, Siegel's ability to break down and tackle in space is special. And safeties really need to do that. So as long as Siegel's ball skills down the field aren't remedial or will compromise his overall play, gosh, I sort of love what he's shown, the film that he's shown so far with the Niners, specifically when we're talking about open field tackling. Dude, the Niners are going to need that. They're going to need that, and he is a solid tackler. I really like what I see from Marcus Siegel. He was also defensive captain, I believe, on Kansas State last. And then one more thing. Also, if you look up Marcus Siegel, he's got an interesting athletic ability. He's like one of those guys, he's like one of those players that can do like a billion back handsprings, like back flips over and over and over pretty much, like across a field. He's got an interesting and dynamic athleticism, and I think that it really translates to the field. It translates off the field, but you use him, Niners. I hope that the Niners find a way to get Marcus Siegel on the field. Let's move on. Speaking of dude who's finding a way, again, for the second week in a row, Chase Lucas, defensive back, Chase Lucas. Look, stop the tape. Chase needs to be locked away. Get him. Dr. Dre, don't just stand there. Okay, look, stop. I just stopped myself. Chase Lucas brought the heat again. Just great. I think Kyle Shanahan calls him an Energizer Bunny. You can see it on the field with the energy he brings. And he had a sack for a safety last game, right? And on my game wrap-up, I was like, look, this sucks, and I'm not trying to be a punk to Chase Lucas, but he can't just be one of those players, one of those defensive backs who's a flash in the pan, and then he's gone for a few weeks, a month, disappeared. He performed, and he got an interception in this last game. He had an interception yesterday, or 2 days ago. I love that, and I think that Chase Lucas will be sort of a barometer for this squad. Chase Lucas should be on the squad. I hope it's the 53, but it's probably going to be the practice squad, but he needs to be on a squad in a Niners uniform. If the Niners are serious about winning, I know this is going to sound really weird. Watch this. Okay, I know that this sounds like Chase Lucas is the type of player that like could make a ridiculous special teams play to win the Niners a playoff game. And then everybody comes back, Chase Lucas, oh, he had that good preseason and stuff like that and barely made the squad. And then who would have thought Chase Lucas? He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys. And how about this? If he doesn't do it for the Niners, remember that I said Chase Lucas, I think he's going to make a few plays this next season. Watch, he doesn't make a squad, he never plays again. But I think he has the potential to make plays wherever he is next season. That's a testament to you, Mr. Chase Lucas. Mac Jones and Carter Bradley, I liked what they showed at quarterback. Carter Bradley, he was horrible last week. Good this week. Good turnaround. Still, he's actually a barometer for like, you definitely don't want him on the 53-man roster. I hope that Carter Bradley really develops because he's got a live arm. He's got sort of the measurables. Relatively accurate as well. He needs reps, though. He needs a lot of reps. My quarterback room, Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, Curtis Rourke. Remember I said Rourke. I really love him. He's the rookie out of Indiana. But look, Carter Bradley, I think he might have a chance, but I think he should definitely... if I were Carter Bradley, instead of being on the practice squad with the Niners, I would actually go and be like a USFL or USL or whatever quarterback, or in Canada, wherever. Go be a full-time quarterback somewhere where you can get some reps because he needs them. The not so good, we got to do this, the not so good. Jair Brown, too many missteps, too many mistakes. Jair Brown has maybe the highest the most dynamic measurables on paper of any Niners defensive back, and he just can't put stuff together, man. He's not putting together good game film. He pawned it off on not getting along with the Sorensen scheme. He's not doing well this season. He has upside though, right? So Jair Brown has upside, but he's taken a lot of missteps. If I were the Niners, I would for sure consider trading Jair Brown. And while we're at it, I got to give you some Niners news and notes, a little rumors. Hot off the press, the Niners did try to trade for a wide receiver yesterday on the Texans. Eventually got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. But the rumor is out there that the Niners are looking for offensive linemen and wide receivers. Wide receivers and offensive linemen. Remember that. Don't remember that, but that's just for your information, Niners faithful. Alfred Collins, rookie defensive lineman Alfred Collins, he is getting pushed all over the place and bullied on the interior. His inability to hold ground for a man who is like 335 pounds is concerning. Alfred Collins, as a defensive lineman, is sort of just dancing, getting pushed back a little bit, and then putting his hands up. If anything, we'll just start with this. His pad level is so atrocious that I'm not going to go in depth with it without his, at least pad level, being consistently lower. So Collins has a lot to work on. Disappointed for the fact that I think he was like a second rounder. Very disappointing so far. Very, very, very disappointing. I actually said that he compared, I just didn't want him to be like how Javon Kinlaw was his rookie. He's a lot like how Javon Kinlaw was. And that really cost the Niners in the end. Just because Kinlaw was like supposed to be like that staunch run supporter, physicality, and like he got annihilated he got gashed in the running game. But hey, overall, great game. Why is it great? Good, but not good. It's great because the Niners beat the Raiders. I'll take that any day, twice on Sundays, right? Niners beat the Raiders, preseason, schmeeseason, don't care. They won. And no big injuries. Dominic Pooney's injured. Corey Kiner is injured as well, running back rookie, but not super severe. So we love that. No injuries. Now I want to see, what did you like? Who were you impressed by? Which Niners were you impressed by against the Raiders this last preseason game? Like, follow, subscribe for your 49ers content. And oh my gosh, thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your evening. But of course, for your San Francisco 49ers content, like, follow, subscribe. Did I say that twice? Maybe I'll say it 3 times, or maybe I'll just say, hey, C-Train, and I'm out. Have a good one.